Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
Snowmageddon, it's Snowpocalypse, it's Snowzilla, it's, I like Megastorm, although I don't like associating negative things necessarily with the president's second term. I'm sort of liking Snowvid 26, as we liken it back to the last man-made disaster we had here with COVID. But either way, all the town's a-buzzing about the storm that's rolling in. It's going to hit us hard, and the snow starts coming in Saturday afternoon, all through the night, all into Sunday, and Lord knows what it's going to look like when we wake up Monday morning and try to get back to work. You might have your power out. You might not have roads. You might not. We'll get into all the details of it this morning and hopefully at least get you prepped. Thank goodness it's happening over the weekend instead of right smack dab in the middle of a work week. But either way, we're on it for you. Starting at 7:05, also, we're going to have a conversation with our friend Marjorie Dannenfelser. She's the president of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America. March for Life is today. Get that out of the way before the snowstorm happens. Happy March for Life Day, everybody. 7:35, our buddy Abe Abish is going to join us because, boy, oh boy, if you've been riding the stock market or the bond market, Patrice, what a week it's been on both of those venues with the tariffs in Greenland. And, just hold on tight, everybody. So Abe's going to give us his expertise on it. And then at 8:35, Congressman Scott Fitzgerald on that Jack Smith hearing. We've also got audio of Brandon Gill is just an assassin. He is so good at questioning these witnesses. He was great, too. So the Jack Smith hearing happened yesterday, and there's just so much more to unpack. But Patrice Onwuka, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. Happy Friday, Larry, and everybody listening.
Thank you. Listen, all that stuff going on in the news, all this stuff, but I do love a day like this where, there's Minneapolis stuff and there's arrests made and what's going to happen with Don Lemon and what happened with Jack Smith and what's going on with Greenland and what's going on with the EU and the World Economic Forum and all these things. But everyone stops. Everyone takes a breath. God likes to tap you on the shoulder and say, yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to throw some snow your way. And sort of reorient your priorities. And so, Patrice, are you like so many wives in this area?
Yes.
Are you like my wife? Have you been looking at your cupboards, looking at your refrigerator, looking at your stock of toilet paper, wringing your hands and saying, oh, Lord, I've got to start acting like Mrs. Noah and bring everybody into the ark because the disaster's about to hit?
Well, I'm not that over the top, but I thought yesterday morning after I dropped off the kids, I was listening to you and Bethany, and then I said, you know what? Let me just go over to the grocery store, pick up some milk, some bread, maybe some croissants, a couple of items.
Some croissants. And I said, we're gonna hunker down and wait out the storm with some very nice French pastries.
Hey, I would just say that there's a store in my area that makes them every day by the truckloads full, and they are delicious. I got to the grocery, as I was pulling into the parking lot, Larry, every parking space was filled at 8:30 in the morning. Now, I'm there multiple times a week because you guys know I've got growing boys. I run out of milk 3 times a week. Usually it's just me and the workers and maybe one mom running out for, school lunch supplies. The place was packed, and everyone's shopping cart was filled to the brim with bananas and bread and a lot of chips, some meat. I was just taking stock and inventory. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to go grocery shopping at this point because I actually don't know if we will be snowed in at least through Tuesday. And these kids love to eat, especially when they don't have school. So I did my grocery shopping, but it was a madhouse at 8:30, and there were retirees, there were stay-at-home moms, there were people who had dressed for work, so I knew they were going into work late, and this was Thursday morning, Larry.
Yeah.
The storm doesn't hit us till tomorrow night.
The first flake does not fall until Saturday afternoon, and yes, you're absolutely. In fact, I think I'm looking at the precipitation. Hold on, let me get a refresh here on the anticipated precipitation Saturday. We are looking at the first snowflakes falling quite possibly not until, after 9 p.m. So
Oh,
really,
wow.
this is a Saturday night into Sunday. But Sunday's going to be just massive. That's what it looks like based on the last
Okay.
map. But these things change. Lord Almighty, this is why I like Snowvid 26, because it reminds you of how everyone reacted to COVID when it first hit. The pallets of toilet paper and I do understand it, because it's like, okay, I'm doing something so that I can take control. And even though Lord knows you're not going to need all that toilet paper for a good 2 or 3 days.
It's okay. It never goes. As long as you don't have rats, you're fine. It could stay there forever.
See, here's what I don't understand. People are preparing like this, and I think one of the biggest preparations. Here's my biggest worry: let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. As far as I'm concerned, I hate it, but if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. The concern is your electricity. That's the concern. Yeah. If I have to stay hunkered down in my house right now, as long as I have electricity,
yes.
Between again, if things, I've got a lot of frozen meats. I can.
Yeah.
I've got rice. I've got staples, I'll be able to eat. I'll have water. I know I'm on a well where I live. So I've got, but again, all of it requires electricity. All of it requires electricity. I live in an area where we don't have natural gas lines. So you're either on so I don't have I used to have an oil heat furnace. We converted it to an electric furnace a while back.
Yes.
We do not have natural gas for our stoves and ovens. It's electric powered. So everything is about electricity. If I've got power, I'm good. If I don't, there's no prepping in the world you can do unless I've got a generator that can power my entire home and enough fuel to keep that generator going. So there's just so much prepping I can do. Otherwise, when we lose electricity, it's over. So then we're going to have to go somewhere else. We're just going to have to get in the car and drive to a hotel, to an area where it does have electricity. So I'm sort of torn between, over prepping and making sure everything's fine. Because if you really, the whole point of preparing for a storm like this is to think through the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario is untenable, because I can't stay in a house that doesn't have a furnace. Because the temperatures are going to drop into the teens overnight.
So with the electricity, I think that what happens usually is a downed power line, usually because of the weight of the snow, not necessarily on the power line, but on the trees surrounding it, right? So I do think that we have seen a lot of electric companies being proactive over the past week plus, cutting away a lot of the tree branches, the big ones, but they're not going to be able to hit every single power line. So, I get where you're coming from. I'm hopeful that we don't see a lot of electricity loss, because I think we're in the same boat, and we've got kids, so we will be hightailing it in the snow. If we have to walk, we will march to the nearest hotel that we can find. But yeah.
The pilgrimage to the Marriott. Yeah, we'll see. We might just preemptively get out before the snow starts coming and just sort of have a little mini vacation near the radio station. That might be the way to go here, just to be safe, because we do have a full building generator at WMAL, of course. So we have a public service and a duty to our community to stay on the air and keep you informed of all the emergency services.
And a little cozy getaway with your wife at a hotel. That sounds nice. Hey.
You know what would be even cozier, so we could save money on the hotel? We'll just sleep in the studio. We'll just roll in the cots.
We're not going to do that to Meredith. Please. No, please get a room, Larry.
The Hunters will be there, because Derek's got to be on there. Chris and Trish have planned. Vince can swing by with Allie. It'll be like a whole social occasion, Patrice. Bring the family.
So awesome. The floor is big enough. The office is big enough to accommodate everybody. But I don't know how many folks would want to be sleeping on, an ergonomic chair. That does not sound like a great way to spend 3 days.
We have great new furniture in the studios. All right, so we'll give you what the latest predictions are of the snow, what the worst case scenarios are in terms of how much snow. And then, the bigger question is keeping the power on and what that's going to look like, and keeping the roads clear. So if you do have to get from A to B because of a power outage, you'll be able to. All right, all that throughout the morning. And, yes, news and politics and all that jazz.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Oh, yes, that's a good one.
And by the way, are you freaking out? Because when you look at your app, this is a weird thing. Like if you look at some of the weather services and when you hear from our, Eileen Whalen and WJLA's Stormwatch Channel 7, they give, one prediction where, snow accumulations. I'm seeing some that say like 7 inches to a foot or maybe 9 inches to 16 inches. And it's hard to predict, obviously, when a storm comes in and how it's going to hit, especially on the Chesapeake Bay here, because then things start to, compound on itself. But then you pull up your app and you look at your app and you say, how much is it going to snow? And depending on what app you've got, I looked at Meredith's weather app and it said 30 inches of snow. It's like, what are you talking about, 30 inches? Where are they getting that?
I'm looking at my app. I'm holding it up here, Larry. Yeah. As you can see, it is predicting 16 to 20 inches with a half inch of wintry mix. That's what my app, and this is the app that, it's automatically on your iPhone. So that's the one I'm operating from. 30 inches sounds apocalyptic for this area.
Well, it's funny. I was checking out the Capital Weather Gang. Those guys are pretty good on this stuff, too, because they're sort of nerdy. And they said most phone weather apps rely completely or heavily on automated output from one or a few computer models. Those models spit out exact numbers even when there's a significant degree of uncertainty in the forecast that often fluctuate throughout the day, even by the hour. Human meteorologists, on the other hand, compare multiple models, account for known model biases, and know which models are best for which weather situations and time ranges. Now, this could be the Capital Weather Gang justifying their existence and making sure that they're not replaced by AI, or that's a very sound explanation as to why your weather app might give you a different number. Again, here's the timeline that we're looking at. 4 to 10 p.m. Saturday, so right up until sundown and into the evening. They're talking about light snow developing, but the accumulation will begin quickly because those temperatures are going to be so low. It's going to be in the teens as the snow starts to fall. Then from going into the evening and into about 10 in the morning Sunday, you're looking at heavy, heavy snow. That's where the accumulation really happens overnight and beginning right before sunrise on Sunday. And that snow might be mixing with sleet and freezing rain. Mostly south and east of the Beltway is where you're going to be seeing most of your accumulation and the heaviest hit. Then throughout the day Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., north and west of the Beltway, you're getting mostly snow with some mixing possible. But near the Beltway, look for snow with sleet and freezing rain. South and east of the Beltway, look for mostly sleet and freezing rain during the day on Sunday. And then into the evening Sunday, 4 p.m. to 10 p.m., the prediction is right now mixed precipitation, moving from the southwest to the northeast, temperatures hovering in the low 20s. Late Sunday night into early Monday morning, we're going to get some lingering precipitation still and freezing drizzle. Temperatures are just going to top out to about 22 degrees. The worst travel conditions will be pre-dawn through mid-morning on Sunday. Bitter cold. If there are untreated roads, or if you're in an area where the roads are sort of the secondary treatment schedule there, they're going to stay really dangerous long after that heavy snow Saturday night hits. And like you were explaining, Patrice, it's going to be after the fact, I think, where the power outages are going to be potential. I remember the last snowstorm we had, about two or 3 years ago. It wasn't really a storm, but we had about a foot. We lost our power at our home, but it wasn't until like a day and a half or 2 days after the snow fell.
Yeah,
because that's when those
the heaviness of
the branches just can't handle it anymore. Yeah.
Well, I've got some tips here, Larry. I asked Grok what we should be doing to prepare, as well as Google. If you have to prevent frozen pipes outside, disconnect your garden hoses. For your home, you need to seal everything. Make sure that there's no draft. So use towels and weather stripping to seal the doors and windows. I mean, I think if you've bought Pala windows, like most of our listeners do, then you should your windows should be good. But it does make sense to put maybe a towel by the front door,
if I may, or Thompson Creek windows,
or Thompson Creek.
Home Sweet
that is
Home,
right.
Sweet Thompson Creek. Let's just
exactly
big partner here on WMAL.
I think folks should
let's
know.
Let's not pick one brand over another. There's a lot of windows
right.
available here on WMAL.
You're right. I mean, good windows are a good investment all year long.
Yes.
But if you have some old drafty windows and you haven't listened to our ads,
that's right.
Put some blankets and some by the doors. Let's see here. You make sure you've got your sleeping bags. Make sure if you have you've got firewood for your fireplace, stock up on that today. Your first aid kits, your extra medication, that's really important for folks who are like, well, I've got a couple of pills left. That should tide me over to Sunday. You may not be able to get to CVS till Wednesday if they're even open.
All right, hold that thought. We've got more tips as the morning goes on as we get ready for Snowvid 26, and there's definitely news and politics in the mix as well. Keep it here. It's 5:24.
All right, yesterday, yours truly had the honor to testify in the Oversight Committee on Capitol Hill, and it was about something that affects everyone: housing. I'll give you the down low and what came out of it. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 5:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
5:37. Good morning as we keep an eye on the weather and all things that will be affected by the snowstorm coming in this weekend. We got you covered on that, but we also got you covered on news and politics. And it's Don Lemon watch as arrests come in Minneapolis. And Don Lemon, who still believes that he's being targeted because he's a gay black man. I'll be honest with you. Don Lemon being a gay black man is the most interesting thing about Don Lemon, I think. It's like that's
the only interesting thing about Don Lemon.
We will give you the latest on that, and the federal magistrate who chose not to allow the arrest warrant to go forward for Don Lemon. What was he thinking, and what's his background? You won't be surprised. We'll give you all that coming up as the morning develops. Also at 7:05, we'll talk about today's March for Life, just in time before the snowstorm, with the president of Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America, Marjorie Dannenfelser. Then at 7:35, Abe Abish will talk about the roller coaster that was all the financial markets this week and, how to hold on tight as we go forward here. And then at 8:35, Representative Scott Fitzgerald of Wisconsin, who was part of that Jack Smith hearing yesterday. Speaking of hearings on the Hill yesterday, Patrice Onwuka is with us, and, you testified yourself. Are you in trouble? Should I know something? Have you been violating somebody's civil rights?
Absolutely not.
Are you being persecuted because you're a gay black man? Is that what's happening here?
No, the only thing that's true is that I'm black.
All right, good for that.
Those things. No, I was invited to testify in a House Oversight Subcommittee hearing on housing solutions. We all know the problem, which is that it is very expensive to buy a home, and it's very expensive for you to even downgrade if you have a home, because of high interest rates, high prices. And so what can the federal government do? And that was the role and the point of the hearing yesterday.
All right, so you were called in as an economic expert there from the perspective of the independent women, certainly in your affiliation with that organization. So give us, as you like to put it, the quick and dirty on that. Right? Give us the executive summary of what your thesis would have been.
Well, the chairman, Eric Burleson, teed it up well. He said, listen, what we're seeing is a failure, not of the free market, but a failure of government. And here's what he means. Regulations, both in the permitting process and, frankly, just the local zoning regulations have made it very expensive, very long and hard to build in our country. And so we're behind over, a million to 3 million homes right now. That's just the housing supply of new homes. But then you also have the regulations that make it difficult for people who want to sell their homes. Maybe you're a senior and you want to downgrade because you have way too much space. Your kids have grown up and all of that good stuff. So what I talked about is let's hit deregulation, and there are two main bills passing through Congress right now that would speed up permitting, get rid of a lot of the regulations that make it difficult, and in a balanced, responsible way, because we don't want buildings falling down for shoddy work, no. But you can get rid of some of the complexity in the permitting process. You can also work on regulations, federal regulations that make it expensive to build, and then taxes. capital gains taxes are what keep a lot of homeowners in their homes because your house has increased in value.
Right.
Now
If they bought their home for, say, let's say they bought their home for $250,000, 25 years ago. Now that home is worth close to $1 million, which is not outside the realm given the real estate costs. That means you're paying capital gains tax on that $750,000 just from selling your home. That keeps people from being able to do that, considering the bite that's going to be taken.
It's called the lock-in effect, Larry.
Right.
And so right now, Congress does give you an exclusion of $250,000 as an individual and $500,000 as a couple, but that's still way too low, considering housing prices have increased over 200% since those exclusions were set. So I'm saying increase the exclusions. You could double them if you want. You could make them available to seniors, whatever the case is, and peg them for inflation. So going forward, families, homeowners will always know that they don't have to worry about the exclusions not keeping up with rising prices.
Here's a little bit of Ms. Onwuka on Capitol Hill yesterday testifying. Take a listen.
On taxes, I want to thank Congress for passing the Working Families Tax Cuts, also known as the One Big Beautiful Bill, saving American families from a massive tax increases and increasing take-home pay.
Did anybody pull you aside and say, thanks for your testimony? So there's a congressional district in Maryland that we'd like to offer you here. Would you like to run for the nomination? Of course, the way they're redistricting.
I have had emails privately.
Yeah, I'm sure. The problem is you're a Marylander, and the redistricting is just making
Although Steny Hoyer's seat is open, I've been asked about that. I have little kids. That's all I'm saying.
And you've got a job here. Darn it.
And I do. Yes, I love radio.
Well, that's cool. Listen, did they touch on? Because and honestly, I'm with you. Get the government out of this and let the market work. However, and I can't believe I'm saying this because this is anathema to my political perspective and point of view, but this whole idea that President Trump isn't talking about with corporations and investment firms and investment sort of conglomerates purchasing vacant single-family homes and, in many cases, just letting them sit vacant on the market to sort of force the real estate market in a certain direction, or renting those homes out as a big corporate. I think it is artificially keeping the prices up and keeping families from that. It's a barrier for entry for families. Single-family homes are made for single families to own and live in, not corporations to gobble up thousands of them across the country and sort of just hold on to them until the market sustains that additional inventory. What is your opinion on that, and whether the government should have a say in it? Because I really do think it is a problem.
I think it's less of a problem than we believe, and the narrative has led us to believe. Institutional investors own less than 1% of all of the single-family homes in this country. Last year, they purchased maybe 2% of those homes, and we're talking about a few thousand homes, and they actually sold more single-family homes last year than they purchased. We're already seeing a pivot away by institutional investors. Okay. Larry, the most people who own a single-family home are families, and if you're getting into that market, you know who you're going up against. As a millennial, you're going up against baby boomers who have cash, who have money, who can actually afford to buy
and
those deals. You're also going up against maybe the mid-sized investors, people who own 10 to 99 homes, and then the mom and pop investors.
Got it.
So there's a lot of distortion, and I don't think this is a role for government here.
I also think, by the way, just to tag on to it, that some of the biggest problems with regulations and with various other forces that are affecting the housing market are at the state and local level, as you see in California and other places.
100% they are.
But whatever the feds can do, the better, and I hope they take your advice, Patrice Onwuka. One other thing, you did not wear your signature pink color on Capitol Hill.
And I got some people are wondering, so don't worry. She was
dressed in all white, and she's not the latest public official or public person to dress in all white this winter. Last weekend, we had the new governor of Virginia, Abigail Spanberger, dressed that way, and some people are connecting the dots between her wardrobe choices and a certain snowstorm that we're about to have. We'll discuss that coming up in just a moment.
Later this morning on the Chris Plant Show, Democrat James Clyburn says Republicans in his district tell him that they're white supremacists and that slavery was really good. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
So Patrice Onwuka, dressed all in white wool, looking lovely and fashionable.
It was tweed.
Was it tweed?
Thank you.
Wasn't wool
Yes.
tweed? Isn't that the?
It is, yes.
On Capitol Hill yesterday, very fashionable, very nice for winter. You weren't the first one this week to dress that way for a special occasion. Abigail Spanberger was dressed in all white in a very, it was like a military-esque sort of cut. Double-breasted, wide lapels.
She was knocking off Melania Trump, but she can't carry it off the same way.
Big shoulder pads, the whole thing, and it was a striking sort of severe look in the white. And I mentioned she looked like it was sort of like she was one of the judges in the Hunger Games, or as someone noted, she looked like she was offering Turkish delight to Edmund to turn in his brother and sisters before Aslan showed up in Narnia, and that comparison of Abigail Spanberger to the White Witch in the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe is sort of taking hold now, with memes circulating of her getting sworn in dressed stunningly like the White Witch from the C.S. Lewis series. That would be what's her name? Oh, Jadis. Jadis is actually the name of the character if you go and read the whole Chronicles of Narnia 7-book series, which is phenomenal. And if you haven't read them as an adult, you really should. The allegory to the Bible and heaven and Christianity is remarkable. Anyway, here's what Virginia does. Virginia swears in the White Witch, as the governor. She's dressed all in white with her severe, striking snow white hair and her, translucent white, deathly corpse-like skin. And within a week, we have a giant snowstorm that is going to plunge the entire region into a snowy Armageddon. Do you think this is a coincidence? Do you think that we're going to have years, decades, if not, of winter until Aslan returns and vanquishes the Commonwealth of Virginia from the White Witch? That's my question to you, Patrice.
Maybe. I mean, I can't say that there's correlation here. I can't say there's causation, but there is correlation. And I mean, I just think it was a poor style choice entirely. I understand she wants to stand out from the crowd. I have brown skin against white. It's a nice contrast.
Exactly.
She looked, the coat she was wearing, floor length, double breasted. I mean, she's not that petite. And so it didn't quite accentuate her silhouette the way she probably wanted it to. She needed more. She needed color, and as a representative of the people of color of Virginia, I mean, she literally just sent a message about where she thinks whiteness compares to the diversity of colors of the rainbow. I'm just putting this out there for you.
She defeated a black woman in Virginia for the governor's seat, and
then comes out in all white.
She doubles down and said, "Thanks for the black vote. You just elected the whitest woman on planet Earth, or perhaps in the universe." So I need you to make a decision here. Your choices are White Witch from Chronicles of Narnia, a judge, politician, and dictator from Hunger Games, or just your basic Bond villain. What are you calling here?
Bond villain, because you know what, the judges, their outfits were still a little bit more ostentatious than
and
this.
Colorful.
Like all she had was a brooch. That was the only bit of bling on her outfit. And the White Witch was much more beautiful. I'm sorry, and a nicer figure. So
sure, but represented
go
very evil policies and a Satan-like dictatorship. So I'm going with White Witch. Either way, elections
Virginia
have consequences.
loses.
Virginia. It's 5:53.